Sean Murphy suffers a major injury that's going to cost him the rest of this season, and it could potentially cost the Atlanta Braves from trying to trade him in the offseason. We'll discuss that on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on social media at shortstopball. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and you're watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment down below. If you listen on the audio version, you can help out as well. Just leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Big shout out to all the everydayers out there continuing to pour in your support, even in these tough times for Atlanta Braves fans. Want to thank you so much for your support on yesterday's episode. I know it was going to be a little bit of a hot take episode. Certainly had my hot takes, plenty of hot takes in the comments section, but thank you for all those kind comments in there as well. I thought it was a fun discussion and a good discussion. And what is pretty much a lost season here for the Atlanta Braves. So thank you so much for that. Today's episode, hopefully, will be a little bit more mild. We're going to talk about Sean Murphy and his injury, what it means for the Braves in the offseason. Can they still trade him? What it means for Drake Baldwin the rest of this year. We're also getting to our minors spotlight segment where the minor league season is winding down. Got a couple of top prospects getting their final starts in, looking really good. And we'll talk about that Cubs game on Monday night. Bryce Elder looking fantastic. Ronald Acuña Jr. breaking his hitless streak. So a lot to get to on today's episode, which is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. On Monday, the Atlanta Braves placed Sean Murphy on the IL with a right hip labral tear. Sounds awful. And as a result, they called up Sandy Leon to replace him. Murphy obviously out for the rest of the year, as this will require surgery, and it usually takes around 4 months to rehab. Now, 4 months sounds like it's maybe on the lower side of that, and obviously him being a catcher and everything, you're going to want to be careful. I would not be surprised if Murphy's a little bit delayed into spring training and maybe even into the beginning of next season. We'll obviously have to see how he heals from this. I think what was the most surprising thing that we heard in all this is that he said it's something that's been bothering him for up to 3 years, but it just happened to worsen lately. Now, we all hear that and we think it's been this bad for 3 years, and that doesn't necessarily mean that. It means it's something that, it's been bothering him. Something's bothering me all the time. Of course, I'm pushing 40 here, but it could have just been something that has kind of been annoying, and now it's just, okay, this is painful. Either way, it's with the way that he's played and all the injuries that he's had over the last couple of years, it kind of just makes you wonder, was this all related? Why couldn't we just stop and have an MRI done before to see what was going on there? But it was something major, and you could have taken care of this 2 off seasons ago or last off season. And that's a bit frustrating. I feel like we get this a lot from Braves players who they're struggling for a while, and then all of a sudden you hear, yeah, I've been dealing with this for some time now and just decided to get it taken care of. We saw Freddie Freeman do that a lot too when he was here. And that's, admirable, yes, but when you're trying to do that and you're quite awful, as Sean Murphy has been right now, you're hurting the team rather than helping the team. So that's a bit frustrating, could potentially be why he's been so bad here as of late, because it has worsened. And this is kind of a side tangent, but you look back at that Contreras trade now, which when it happened, it was one of those moves where, kind of talked myself into it. Okay, I think it's kind of a net neutral move, but you are getting a little bit better defensively. But you look at that move right now, and with the contract extension that you gave Sean Murphy, and I don't know that that's one that's going into the good ledger for Alex Anthopoulos. The good part of this for Braves fans, at least this year, is that this has to mean that Drake Baldwin's going to play pretty much every day the rest of the season. At least one would hope, pretty much every day, and get him as many at-bats as possible to try to win that Rookie of the Year award. Now, the big part of this discussion that I really wanted to focus in on today is, with this injury, can the Braves now trade Sean Murphy in the offseason? And there's been plenty of talk about the possibility of the Braves looking to shop Sean Murphy with the emergence of Drake Baldwin and him likely being your primary catcher going forward. And so now you have the ability, if you wanted to trade Sean Murphy. Now, I have maintained in all of this, I am perfectly fine with having Sean Murphy and Drake Baldwin and having those two guys as your catcher. It's not like you're paying both of them a lot of money. You're paying one a lot. You're probably paying your primary one less, and that can be awkward, but it's not like you're having to fork out a lot of money for both of these guys, just for one of them. Now, you could obviously trade Sean Murphy, go get a veteran catcher to back up Drake Baldwin on a lot cheaper deal and save money that way. But I also don't mind having two really good catchers because I do think if healthy, Sean Murphy can still be a really good catcher. Who really knows the last time that we've actually seen him healthy? I mean, maybe it was the first half of 2023 when he looked like the best catcher in all of baseball. So I'm perfectly fine carrying both Baldwin and Sean Murphy. But I would have to imagine, as I've said, that you go into this offseason and somebody's desperate for a catcher and wants to give you a couple of top prospects. Maybe they want to give you your future shortstop and a deal involving Sean Murphy. I'd be all for moving him. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not just going to trade Sean Murphy for the sake of trading him. And right now it feels like if you were going to trade Sean Murphy, not only would you just be trading him for the sake of trading him, and which essentially right now would be a money dump, he has pretty much no value in his deal at the moment. So you're not going to get really anything in return. So whatever the thought process was going into the offseason for the Atlanta Braves, I think at this point, Sean Murphy is untradeable because you're just not going to get anything of value in return for him in his current situation. Not just that, he's won for his last 55 or whatever it is, but he's coming off, pretty big surgery. And so teams are going to want to see him healthy. So I don't think we're going to see Sean Murphy get moved this offseason. I think that's going to completely take that off the table just because of where his value is and the season that he's had. And it's back-to-back seasons now that he's really dealt with some injuries that have cost him a lot of time. And that's frustrating for the Braves, frustrating for Braves fans. But on the bright side, like I said, Drake Baldwin getting to play pretty much every day the rest of this season is definitely on the good side, and can't wait to see for that to happen. And hopefully it will ignite him to a Rookie of the Year award. But hate it for Sean Murphy too. Look, I know a lot of Sean Murphy detractors out there just want to get rid of the guy, don't like him because you traded Wild Build for him. As I said earlier, I understand that trade's starting to look worse and worse as the years go on. And there's just some out there that want to see Drake Baldwin as the primary catcher and don't want Sean Murphy taking away his playing time. And I get that too. But I still think Sean Murphy brings a lot of value to your team defensively, how he handles a pitching staff, how he can instruct Drake Baldwin to be even better. I think he still brings a ton of value. And as I said, I would not trade him unless I'm getting something of value. And right now, I just said value a lot. Right now, you're not getting somebody give me a synonym for value. I don't know. You're not getting much from him at the moment just because of the injuries and his struggles at the plate. So you're not going to be able to trade him right now, but maybe into next season or maybe even into next offseason. And you don't know what's going to happen. So that's why I don't mind having two good catchers around, because catcher is a very important position, and it's great to have those guys backing each other up. I just feel for Sean Murphy because he's never really gotten the opportunity to be the everyday catcher except the first half of 2023 because of Travis d'Arnaud and now the emergence of Drake Baldwin, and because of his own injuries. He's never really gotten a chance to be that primary everyday catcher for the Atlanta Braves. All right, next we'll get into our minor league segment. We'll talk about some of the standouts from last week, some teams that are wrapping up their minor league season already. I think I'm more sad about the minor league season ending. I like watching some of these prospects and seeing where they're going and how they're performing, but that season is coming to a close as well. But we'll talk about who had some great performances last week here next. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, a login screen, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use GameTime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. GameTime is fast, easy, and backed by the GameTime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. The app makes it super simple. You could even see the exact view from your seat before buying. Fees are included. You know your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. So I absolutely appreciate that and love that. And I also love the zone deals that they have. You pick the section and Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. It's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I bought tickets in the past. I'm looking for an opportunity to go to at least one more Braves game this season, so I'm checking that Game Time app daily, looking for the best deals to take myself and the family. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you, as always, making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. Slowly getting caught up with all the action happening around Major League Baseball, the division chases, wild card chases down the stretch. That must be fun. And you can listen to all the teams who are competing for that on Locked On MLB, as well as the guys at MLB Game Night, bringing you the best highlights from each and every night. Well, it is our weekly Minor League Monday Spotlight segment here, and we'll start out at Gwinnett like we always do. Matthew Batten, 7 for 21 last week, a triple, a home run, and a stolen base. Eddie Leonard, 6 for 16 with 2 walks and a stolen base. David McCabe, just 3 for 14, but had a double and 4 walks, and also had a stolen base in there as well. On the pitching side, Jhancarlos Lara goes 4 innings, allows 6 hits, 2 walks, hits 2 batters, gives up 5 earned runs, but he strikes out 8. And a lot of talk about Jhancarlos Lara last week. The guy from Prospects, Peach State Prospects over there, apologize, I don't know how to say his name, but talked a lot about Jhancarlos Lara, them using him as a starter and giving him bulk innings to work on more pitches. And maybe that's true. Very knowledgeable about what's going on in the system there. But I don't want to question the Braves pitching development because they've obviously done a fantastic job there. But it is highly frustrating to me when you have a guy with the arm talent of Jhancarlos Lara, clearly was struggling as a starter. You move him to a bullpen and he starts to excel and starts to reach that talent that we all knew he could have as a setup man, potential closer. And then you move him back into a starter's role. You can call it what you want. You can say they're moving him back there for bulk innings so that he can work on more pitches. And maybe that's true. But either way, you're moving him back to a starter. He's having to throw more innings. And the results have been quite awful. That to me is a bit frustrating when you've had a guy, like I said, with the upside of Lara. He's found a role where he is thriving in. And now you're moving him back. You're messing with his pitches. And he's struggling. And you just wonder what that does to the confidence when, as a reliever, he was probably on the brink of getting an opportunity. And now you're tinkering with him. You're moving him into more of a starter's type of role, and he's struggling. Now, as far as working on other pitches, threw 34 cutters in this one, 22 four-seamers, 18 sliders, and 12 sinkers. 11 whiffs on 32 swings. That's a 34% whiff rate overall, but a 50% whiff rate on the cutter and the slider. Again, it is dominating type stuff when he's able to control it and throw it near the strike zone. Even in the strike zone, the stuff's just that good. It's similar a little bit to Hurston Walter, but stuff's just that good. It's just got to be close enough to the plate where batters are at least tempted to swing at it. So still excited about the possibility of Lara. If they do move him back into a bullpen role, just let him focus on 2 or 3 of those pitches in my mind. Obviously the slider and then maybe the four-seamer and the cutter, either one of the fastballs. Like I said, the cutter seems to be the one that's working the best right now. He can be a dominant reliever as soon as next year. Now, finishing out Gwinnett here, Jose Suarez, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, both on solo home runs and 8 strikeouts. Carlos Carrasco, 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned, 6 strikeouts. I feel like we're another Joey Wentz blow up away from seeing Carlos Carrasco again. Nathan Wiles, 5 innings, 4 hits, no walks, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. And then Lucas Braun making his AAA debut. I've talked about Lucas Braun a lot, that I think he's right there in that pecking order, knocking on the door to get an opportunity next season. His first AAA start goes 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, 4 strikeouts. And then J.R. Ritchie, who's trying to knock down that door, 6 innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. And then Blake Burkhalter had 2 perfect innings, but with no strikeouts. And I feel like since they moved him to a bullpen role where I thought he would excel and perhaps be in the big leagues this year, hasn't done quite as well, and the strikeouts have gone down. So just really odd with Blake Burkhalter going from, kind of the opposite of Jhancarlos Lara. He was doing pretty solid as a starter. They moved him into more of a bullpen role, and the results haven't necessarily been there. Now, these were good results, but no strikeouts with it. At Columbus, Adam Zabrowski goes 8 for 18 with a home run and a walk, and then Cal Conley 7 for 21, a double, a triple, a walk, and 2 stolen bases. There were a couple of weeks there where we had some good performances at Columbus offensively, which is a rarity, but not the case the past 2 weeks. Columbus has one more week. This will be their last week. I forgot to mention Gwinnett. They have 2 weeks left in their season. But Rome and Augusta, their seasons are over. Last week was the final week for both Rome and Augusta, so this list will be a little bit shorter next week. But at Rome, Isaiah Drake, who's had a really good year turning things around, one of the biggest developers, I guess you could say, probably a better word for that, this season for the Atlanta Braves and their farm system on the offensive side of things. Isaiah Drake goes 11 for 24 last week. However, all of them singles, no extra base hits, no walks to 4 strikeouts, and also had 4 stolen bases with 1 caught stealing. But it's been a great year for Isaiah Drake. Young hitter, good development this season. Cody Miller, 6 for 22, a double, 4 walks, and 3 steals. Logan Braunschweig, 5 for 19, 5 walks, and a stolen base. And Alex Lodis, 5 for 17, 2 doubles, a home run, no walks to 10 strikeouts, a near 40% strikeout rate for Alex Lodis and a 5% walk rate in 25 games. Still a 110 WRC plus because of some of the power that he has shown, but certainly the plate discipline is not where you would want it for a guy like Alex Lodis, who was a great player at a great program and a great conference. The plate discipline has not been what I would have liked to see from him coming in. But those 3 bats in particular who just got drafted, along with Dixon Williams, who I'll mention here in a moment. This last draft's looking pretty good for the Atlanta Braves offensively. On the pitching side of things, Cedric D. Grand Prix goes 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, and 9 strikeouts. Riley Frey goes 2 games last week, 6 1/3 innings, just 2 hits and a walk, 1 earned, and 7 strikeouts. Luke Sennard, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, 7 strikeouts. Garrett Bauman, 5 2/3, 3 hits, 1 walk, no earned, 6 strikeouts. Herrick Hernandez, 6 innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts. And Owen Murphy, 5 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. A lot of pitching in this system. You don't know that by now. There's a lot of really good pitching in this Atlanta Braves farm system. Down at Augusta, I mentioned it was their final week as well. Their season is now over. Neither of these teams, Augusta or Rome, will be making the playoffs. Augusta missed it by a game in the first half of the season, but finished way out of it in the second half. Owen Carey went 5 for 19 last week with a home run, a walk, and 2 steals. Dixon Williams, 5 for 18 with a double, a triple, 2 walks, and 2 stolen bases. John Hill finishing the season strong, 4 for 17, a double, a home run, 2 walks, and a stolen base. And Tate Southesine, just 4 for 21, had a double, a walk to 9 strikeouts, and a stolen base. On the pitching side, Cam Caminiti, 6 innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, no earned, and 7 strikeouts. A strong season for Cam Caminiti, his first full season in pro ball. 17 starts this year, 4 of them at the FCL level. Overall, a 3.09 ERA, a 1.26 WHIP. But you look at just his AAA stats, a 2.08 ERA, 1.22 WHIP, still a little high for what I would want to see. But again, a very young pitcher. But at the lower levels, and obviously as you go up, I want to see that under 1-2. 56 1/3 innings, 26 walks, 75 strikeouts, a 210 batting average against. Part of the reason why the WHIP is up is, of course, the 4.15 walk per 9 in AAA. But these are single A stats, obviously, at Augusta. AAA, that would have been really impressive. I would have taken a 1.22 WHIP at AAA for a guy as young as Cam Caminiti. But the reason the WHIP was so high was because his walk per 9 was over 4. You need to get that down closer to 3, but his K per 9 nearly 12. So those are great numbers and a great year for Cam Caminiti, who looks to be one of the Braves' top prospects, if not the top prospect. We'll see when we dive into it here in the offseason. Ethan Bagwell goes 4 innings, 1 hit, 4 walks, 4 earned, and 5 strikeouts. Cade Woods, recent draftee, who I think could be a really good bullpen arm. I'm sure the Braves are going to try him at the starter first, though. Goes 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. And then Kendi Richard, big year for him. 3 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, and 3 strikeouts. So that's what happened down on the farm this past week. Like I said, the season wrapping up for both Rome and Augusta. 1 week left here for Columbus and 2 weeks left for Gwinnett. And then we'll do a complete minor league season wrap up, biggest risers, biggest fallers, all of that coming your way over the next month or so here at Locked On Braves. All right, next we'll get into some other news of the day. We got some other transactions happening. We'll get into the game from Monday at night and set you up for Tuesday's matchup, where got a chance to help Drake Baldwin out again with Cade Horton on the mound and Spencer Strider making his next start. We'll get into all of that here next. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Do you have subscriptions that you forgot you're paying for? I did, but Monarch Money helped me find those. YouTube TV, I have no need for that right now. Get out of my subscriptions. And that's what Monarch Money was able to help me do. And it helps me set a budget with my wife. We're able to see all of our transactions, see our spending in one place. I can ask my wife, why are you buying this? Why are you getting more clothes? Just kidding. Don't say that to your wife. But it has helped us get on the same page and set goals that we can shoot for so we can go on more vacations next summer. And you can all complain about my vacation time. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONMLB. Well, other than Sean Murphy going on the IL, the Braves did have some other news of the day. Alexis Diaz was added to the roster. We mentioned that yesterday's episode. He's officially added here on Monday. They also added Connor Siebold. And as a result, Roldy Munoz was optioned and John Brebbia was DFA'd. Now, with the Sean Murphy news, they also recalled Dane Dunning and optioned Hayden Harris, which was a bit disappointing for me because while Hayden Harris certainly wasn't great and didn't look as dominant as he did at AAA, it was 3+ innings there. I wanted to see a little bit more from him. I understand the Braves shuffling through arms, just trying to have fresh arms because they never know how long their pitchers are going to go, their starters are going to go. But that was a bit disappointing to see Hayden Harris and Munoz to a degree get sent down. I kind of just want to see what the young guys can do here the rest of the way in what's essentially meaningless games. Instead, we're going to get Dane Dunning and Alexis Diaz. Now, Diaz is out of or is a free agent after the season, so it's not like they're looking at him for future value. Dane Dunning is under control, but is out of options, so perhaps could be somebody that sticks around, and he's throwing the ball pretty well at AAA, so maybe worthy of getting the call up here. But those are all the moves from Monday. Around Major League Baseball, though, Trey Turner, a grade 1 hamstring strain. They're hopeful he'll be back for the postseason, but a big blow for the Phillies. I mentioned the other day, I think Trey Turner belongs in the MVP discussion. They're already without Zach Wheeler. Now they're playing great baseball at the moment. They got a big series with the Mets this week, but that's a bit of a blow for the Phillies. Padres are getting ready to activate Michael King, which is very important for the Padres, who are trying to chase down the Dodgers in the NL West, but also for the offseason, because Michael King's a name that I've liked for a while now, ever since watching him carve up the Atlanta Braves in last year's wild card game. Michael King's been a guy that's been on my radar, somebody that I would like for the Braves to target. And so we'll see how he finishes out this season and what that could mean for his market the upcoming offseason. Now, the Braves game on Monday, Bryce Elder, once again, just absolutely shoving out there, and he is on an incredible run right now at the moment. And it's fun while he's in these moments, but you also know at some point things are going to likely fall apart for him. I'm probably going to have to do a deeper dive on why he's been so successful, or is there a reason that he's been so successful? I will say on the game on Monday, I thought the slider had a really good movement to it. He got 9 whiffs on 20 swings with that slider. But something else that I really like, and I don't know if it's him or you give credit to Drake Baldwin in this, is that they also started to go to that changeup down at the bottom of the zone, because that slider had really good movement down and out of the zone, but hitters were starting to adjust to it. And then he threw that slider a little bit more, got 2 whiffs on 5 swings with that changeup. So I thought that was a nice little addition. It was mostly sinker slider again, but it did throw some more 4-seamers. I mentioned him being able to throw that 4-seamer at the top of the zone really, I think, helps raise that eye level of the hitter to make his slider more effective. So he did that again in this start. So look, I know as soon you want to give up on Bryce Elder, he tries to pull you back in, but this is, 4 really good starts in a row now for Bryce Elder. On the offensive side, the Braves jumped out early, big first inning there, almost an even bigger first inning with that ball by Michael Harris. Ronald Acuña Jr. breaks out of his hitless streak, so that's really nice to see. And Ozzie Albies with another home run. He continues to look great. Drake Baldwin, with a hit. Matt Olson with a home run late. So good to see the offense really get going, especially those guys at the top continuing to stay hot, except for Profar, who wasn't able to get a hit tonight. But everybody else in the lineup, doing contributing in some way. So great to see that. Ronald's hit also an RBI. Drake Baldwin scoring and getting an RBI in this game. So good stuff there for the hopeful rookie of the year. So the Braves will take on the Cubs again on Tuesday. It'll be Cade Horton versus Spencer Strider. Speaking of that rookie of the year matchup, last time the Braves saw Cade Horton, they did not help out their teammate at all as they let Cade Horton throw 5 no-hit innings against them. Hopefully this time around they can punish him or at least get a hit off of him. Not asking for a lot here, but that'll be the task for the Atlanta Braves on Tuesday as they take on Cade Horton and the Cubs again, starting at 7:15 p.m. Central. And on the other side, it'll be Spencer Strider. We've seen him get some more extra rest. He continues to work on things. I thought 2 starts ago, after he got that extra rest, looked really good. And then his last time out, I thought was pretty awful. I mean, the results weren't that bad, 3 runs over 5 innings, but just did not look like he was in much control at all out there. So hopefully the extra rest here, Spencer continuing to work on things, tweak things. Hopefully we see a really good version of Spencer Strider as he tries to finish off this season strong, work on things going into the offseason, and come back with a big 2026. So that's what we're all hoping for here. All right, that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me on today's episode. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and leave me a comment down below. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.